Ready to go? All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:30. The mayor was going to join us, but I don't see him yet. So in his absence, I'll preside. First thing we have to do, because of the remote meeting, is that Jeremy has to call the roll.
All right, Dave.
Dave Sawyer.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
Lori. Jackie.
Here.
Jerry.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Scott. Ed.
Here.
Mark.
Jeremy, I was just on with Mark. He's running a little late, but he will be jumping on in about 5-10 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Rob.
Here.
Steve. Mike. Andrew.
Here.
Gail. Jack.
Here.
And Mayor.
Mayor just joined.
Yep, here.
All right. We have a quorum.
Okay. All right. So the mayor asked me to chair, so I will continue doing so. So thank you, Mayor.
Of course, thank you, Jack.
All right. So the next order of business is that you sent the minutes, Jeremy?
I did this time, yes.
Okay. Has everybody read the minutes? Scott Domenici is here, so we can check him off. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 15th?
Move to approve.
Second,
Thank you, Jackie and Terry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
All right, Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Terry,
yes,
Scott,
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
We have Mark yet? Doesn't look like it. Rob,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm looking for Steve Johnson. I don't see him. Mary Ann,
Yes, Steve just sent us a text that he's having some technical difficulties and he's trying to get on, but he thinks he'll be on in a few minutes. So I would suggest maybe we move on to maybe approving the bills.
Sure. So it looks like we have a bill here for Skanska for $81,885. Jeremy, is that in order to pay?
Yes.
And Mary Ann and Jeanette, Castle Blues is billing $122,945. Are you saying that's appropriate to pay?
Yes.
And Consigli has a bill for almost $6.7 million. Is that application 29 for 699,796.27? Is that in order?
Yes, it is.
And then Jeremy, we got Briggs and 2 FedExes and 1 STV DPM. Are those all appropriate?
Yep. And we've actually, I realized I never put that 830 FedEx bill on. So that one's was approved by the mayor already. So I threw it on here, but they're all good to go. Yep.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the bills? Then Jackie,
Move to approve.
second,
thank you. Jeremy,
Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Terry,
yes,
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
yes,
and Mayor. I saw him mouth yes.
yes, he said yes.
Yes, sorry, I put it on mute. Sorry about that. Yes.
It's okay. Since Steve isn't on yet, Anjanette, do you want to, and Mary Ann, do you want to do your thing with the reviewing the budget and where we are, and also talk to us about the issue that was open from last meeting, which was whether we can afford the proposed change order for the maintenance building. So it looks like Anjanette, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm just going to go over, like I normally do, just where we are with the project budget at this time. I think that'll be a nice sort of segue into the next part of the conversation related to the maintenance addition. So right now we have, this is an overall summary that we see every month, just of where we are with the project. We are currently billed out to 63%. Consigli has, up to this point, they have almost $1 million in change orders. That's through 12. We are going to be reviewing 13 today. So that that comes out of the actual, contingency, the owner's construction contingency, which is this line item down here, which leaves us a remaining balance of a little over $1.2 million. And we do anticipate throughout the course of the project using all of that money there. We have our contract with Skanska, just, we're billing that out monthly as is Castle Booze. And then we do have the city costs that are being captured here as well. Those include all of the costs for the testing and whatnot. We're billed out there at 61%. And then the last item down here is the owner's contingency, which is a little over $1 million that we haven't touched to date, other than early on in the project, just to cover some of the overages for the early utility work that was done with National Grid and such. So, so overall, this is a snapshot in time of where we are today. So Mary Ann, I don't know if you wanted to jump in here as well when we talk about the overall project budget. But we have been actively working as a group to come up with some strategies that will allow us to afford the maintenance building addition. And we feel confident at this time, after working with Consigli, in discussions with Jack and Bill and Dave Sawyer and everyone on the budget committee, that we can move forward with the maintenance addition. And I think we're just finalizing, Consigli's finalizing the overall cost for it. So I can't give you an exact dollar value, but we do feel like it is something that, the project can support at this time.
Yeah, and just a related item, we're doing well on the allowances, correct?
That is correct. That is
Yes.
correct. Part of the process and figuring all of this out is Consigli has been looking at the allowances that had been determined during the GMP, which were, little buckets, if you will, to cover things that are known or unknown. Miscellaneous spray, patching for spray fireproofing. We always know there's going to be leveling for floors, that sort of thing. So we had carefully, sort of put together all of these little buckets of money to cover all of these costs, and they review it. They have been reviewing it and found that there may be some savings. There are savings that they can offer back to the project that can be used to fund the maintenance building as well. So
So.
And just to,
So when we get to the change orders, when Steve comes on, would it be fair to say that you're recommending that we can go forward with that particular change order?
yes. Well, one of the things that we had done is in reviewing the budget, we looked at the allowances, the construction contingency, the owner's contingency. And we looked at confirming that we had sufficient contingency to fund the rest of the project. So in terms of the maintenance building, we started with 4.8 million in the CM contingency. Now that we've gotten past certain unknowns, we see the opportunity here to redeploy that money. And so this change order would, for the maintenance building, would come out of the construction manager's contingency and not the owner's contingency. So
Okay.
what we're doing is just watching it very, very carefully. We review this every 2 weeks or so with consigliere to make sure that we're on target. We had approximately $10.4 million in allowances. And so we're utilizing the allowances. You know, there's over 100 allowances. But the question is if there's, you know, we've gotten past that work for a particular allowance, we're looking and projecting that that money is available. And so, yes, we would recommend that you proceed with the maintenance building. If you waited to a later point in time, it would actually become more expensive because we already have consigliere's management and oversight happening now. So this would happen concurrent with the construction of the fields and during the period after the demolition, that this would be constructed while they're also working on the fields. So that's the caveat that we would start it after the move in the summer.
And, I know that about every 6 weeks we have a financial team meeting, and the mayor, Jeremy, and superintendent, the principal, and you, as well as a few others, all attend that. And that was the consensus of our meeting last Wednesday. Okay, then still haven't seen Steve, so we could move on to Blue Pride Way. Is that appropriate, Bill? So the school committee voted to endorse the naming of the semicircular driveway as Blue Pride Way. And the plan that was prepared by Sammy Otis has been reviewed by Gary Arasian, the planning director of the city, and he suggested one minor change. So they are in the process of getting that to us so that the mayor can send that down to the city council and ask them to hold a public hearing and then to lay it out under Chapter 82. The city solicitor said that we will need to go forward after it's laid out and constructed and accept it as a public way. And so as a result of that, I prepared a first draft of a memorandum of understanding between the school department and the city that despite it being a public way, the school department would maintain the responsibility for plowing and maintaining it, and also absorb any liability if there's any property damage or personal injury that occurs there. City solicitor revised that document, and I gave it to Steve Withers, who ran it by Mark and the superintendent, and I understand they have approved it. So Mayor, as soon as we have the plan available, we will ask you to send that down to the city council, and that will, hopefully they will also lay that out, and then we can officially have an address of One Blue Pride Way for the new school.
Sounds good.
And then I think, well, we're still waiting for Steve because I don't see him. Mary Ann, do you want to update the committee on the two issues that we discussed this morning? One being that we have some tile cracking, and the second is a crack in the slab in the cafeteria.
Yes, let me just get my notes.
Okay. Just so everyone knows, the project has been glitch-free, amazingly so, for a long, long time. And we are still on track for June 16th to get a temporary occupancy permit. And we are still on track for August 25th to open school. But the first issue that's really come up, Mary Ann, has to do with some tile in some limited areas. Do you want to address the committee and let them know that?
Yes, so we've had tile being installed in the bathrooms on the walls. We've had it in the corridors. We haven't had any issues with tile cracking at all. When we got to the kitchen area for the restaurant, we started to see probably within 1 or 2 weeks of installation, hairline cracks showing up in the tile. So what we're doing is we have not determined the reason. We are going to ask a company that specializes in this to help us understand what the reason is, so that we have the appropriate solution. I mean, we could remove the tile and put it back, but if we don't understand what the underlying issue is, then we'll just have cracking showing up again later. So there was a meeting with all of the parties involved, meaning the drywall company and the company that provided and installed the tile. And the meeting, they reviewed several, multiple locations of where the cracks were. And we were trying to see if there was any kind of deficiency in the installation of the wall, or, perhaps maybe there weren't enough screws put in, but we were not really able to determine that there was a problem with the installation of either product. So it's still under review. We, as we said, we are also looking into having the tile itself tested to find out if it was the batch of tile and it was an issue with that. So so it's it's still we're still reviewing, and it may take us a couple of weeks to figure this out between having the run of tile tested and analyzed and getting an expert out here. But certainly Consigli and the design team in Skanska and the subcontractors responsible for the work have all reviewed it and have not come up with something conclusive about what caused this to happen. So, and it is a different type of tile than what's been installed in other parts of the building. The other issue has to do with the slab cracking, where the last pour placement of concrete in the cafeteria, there was a section left out so that people could access that area without putting heavy equipment on the slabs at that point, at that edge. And then when the concrete was placed, it appeared to be okay, and we have it inspected, and that was okay. And then some materials were stored there, no different than materials that's stored in other places. And when the materials were moved, we could then see that it appeared to have the slab curled. So That is also under review. We have the structural engineer coming out to determine, is it an issue with concrete? Was it an issue with something else? And we are waiting for feedback from the structural engineer. We may be conducting a slab survey to determine what the actual condition is. We are hoping, instead of the proposed remedy from the subcontractor was to actually create a joint and saw cut where the crack is. But before we take any action like that, would rather have the design team provide us direction rather than the subcontractor making that recommendation and taking action on it. So those are the two issues. I want to say, in terms of quality control on the project, certainly the appropriate materials have been submitted. The workmanship has been excellent on the job, and I think these are two anomalies that we have to figure out what happened there. But there will be corrective action taken to address both. We're just trying to figure out what that best course of action is.
Okay, thank you. Steve, have you joined us by phone?
I have.
Does that mean you're not going to be able to share drone photos?
Well, that's still a work in progress, but for now, I'm still having some technical difficulties here at home, but I will keep trying to see if I can get online and share photos.
Do you have a teenage child available?
She's a 10-year-old, and she is, yes, much better at this stuff, but she is not at home.
It looks like you maybe just came on.
Let me see.
We just saw you. Did you disappear
Oh.
again? Still up there? Ah, there you are.
Yes.
There you go.
They're connecting to audio now, Steve.
Recording in progress.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
My apologies. That was painful, and I'm pretty sure it was the picture site that crashed my computer. So hopefully it doesn't happen.
All right. Okay, so we have paid the bills and we have done the usual financial work that has been done by Skanska. So we've gone through all of that. So time for your construction update. And we did have Mary Ann give us an update on the tile cracking and the curling of a portion of the concrete in the cafeteria. So whatever you want to say about those, we're certainly willing to listen, but just want you to know we did have some talk about that.
Yeah, I was able to listen in on the tail end. I don't really have a whole lot to add. Marion did a nice job of describing the issues. I just want to reiterate that we do have full cooperation from any of the subs involved, and we're diving into everything and turning over all stones. With the tile cracking, Craig was with us for over 2 hours, looking at all kinds of different scenarios and different parts of the tile and the backup, and we just kept coming into dead ends. But it certainly wasn't for a lack of effort, and we'll still continue to move forward. We have a game plan of getting some different tile there, and reinstalling the backup in the tile to see if maybe it was the tile. But we'll keep working on it till we find the answer.
Okay, so do you want to try and share your screen?
Absolutely. Screen. Okay.
Aha. Screen sharing is starting.
All righty.
And do we even have a picture?
We're getting there. Yeah, everything was all loaded and. Okay, so front view of the building. We'll zoom in here for the detail of progress. Most of the progress has been related to glass. If you zoom in here, you can see items like the corner here of the curtain wall up top, and then down below, more storefront. There's even more storefront here, but it's protected with the plywood. That's where a lot of our progress has been in the past month. It doesn't look like much, but these corners here take a lot of time and effort and special glass and special pieces in order to be doing that correctly. So on either side of the main entrance here, and then as we scroll down this corner, the other corner, and then we go to the west end of the building, same thing. So that's actually, it's pretty exciting for us because it's kind of it's a tricky detail, and to get them all done now is good for us to get it done before it starts to get cold. And that's also a spot where rain could get in as well. Other progress on the front of the building, you'll see up top here, the roof screen is starting to be installed to hide the air handling units. So we've got a building A and some work done on building C as well. So that will continue. That's got at least another month worth of progress ahead of it there. If we go to the back side of the building, the last of the rooftop units was set in place. So all of them are in place now in the south and the north of the building. We've done a lot of work on the exterior of the auditorium here, and they're starting the masonry. This staging right here is to support the masonry efforts. But this is the AVB and all the backup required there. They've also completed most of the brick on the backside here. These openings are glass openings, and so they're field measure for those. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll see those frames in the glass. We're also working on AVB in this section, and then the big section here in building E. A lot of prep work is being done for those curtain wall frames to be set in the next couple of weeks, and then followed by the glass, of course, there as well. That's the south side of the building. And then if we go to the east and west here, if it loads. Oh. Okay, so this should be west side here. If we zoom in again, a lot of masonry was completed on the end here. This is where we had our temp dehumidification. So that is all out of the way and off rental. They're moving on to complete all these masonry openings. This corner was complete. And then this west elevation on the south end of the building was complete as well. So the work on this, and then you can see that more frames and more glass. The frames have been placed and installed in these openings. Glass will be following in the next couple of weeks there as well. We also got some good progress. We're starting to level out and form and prep for the loading dock area. So next month we'll have some pictures of that. The gas company was out last week to do their thing and get some of their pipe. They had an issue with their pipe elevation, so they have a little more work to do, but it's enough to help us keep moving along. And then on the east side of the building, more progress again made on masonry, and also more frames and glass installed at that end of the building as well. So if we spin over here, a lot of this masonry is complete. This section here is not complete. That's intentional. That's where the new maintenance addition is going to go. So we didn't want to install that and then have to take it down again. So a lot of progress on masonry here. And these are the last sections where you see the staging. That's where the masons are now. And then they'll be done with this complete elevation. And again, you can see more curtain wall storefront frames have been installed, as well as the glass on this elevation. So the exterior is in really good shape. and we're starting to focus on a lot of the finishes on the interior. The biggest change on the 4th floor is that we've installed some of the decorative light fixtures, and we've installed, so these are some of the decorative fixtures you see here, this round fixture here. And we've started to install some of the finished millwork that's outside in the corridors. And we're gonna have a delivery of ceiling tile the next couple of weeks, and we'll start to flood ceilings. And then that'll be quickly followed by flooring in the classrooms and the science labs. We've also started to work on items like these railings here and the finished railings that go on these stairs here. These are starting to come together now with the mesh and the railing and wood rail and metal rail. So we're working on finishes on the upper floors. And then a lot of the drywall has been completed on the 1st floor and 2nd floor. We've made good progress there. I believe this picture is just a shot of, we've also started, this is bathrooms. I know everyone's excited about bathrooms. These are the toilet partitions. So we've got toilet partitions and the china going in on the bathrooms on all floors, which is good progress. Area J is a shot of some of the duct work, a lot of the duct work. This is in the auditorium up high on what we call the dance floor. Some good progress made with duct work. The theater lighting people have been out to do their piece and start their rigging. You can't see everything, but there's been a lot of good progress with the mechanicals up here, and we'll move on to start drywalling up high soon, and then we'll drop this a little bit, and the ceiling subcontractor will be able to start his decorative ceiling in the next couple of weeks. And we'll move on to, I believe, yeah, this is the cafeteria. This is a view from the 2nd floor looking down. We've been making good progress. There's a lot of HVAC that's been installed up high, and there's also some mechanical piping that's been installed up high. All this lift work that you see here, making good progress working south. And then on the 2nd floor, we are ready to start boarding on the west side. Very shortly on the east side, we can look across here. Most of the drywall has been completed in these areas and back into the shop spaces as well. Is a shot of, this is the future marketplace area. A lot of boarding has been completed in here, so we'll move on to taping and painting in this area. And I believe I have a shot of the cafeteria. No, this is this is just some of the corridor work. We've got a lot of the tile. It's hard to see here in this picture, but a lot of the corridor tile is complete on the 1st floor as well. This is the same tile that's installed up on the academic wing in the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd floor corridors as well. And yeah, this is a shot of the media center, actually. Good progress here. A lot of the drywall has been completed, taping. They're starting paint activities, and we're starting to prep for all the finished millwork that goes in this area as well. So we are on schedule. We are still looking to have 99 to 100% of the glass installed in November, so that we're good and tight for the winter. We have already started prepping for the winter. We have our units rented for temporary heat, and we're starting to set all that up so that we are ahead of the cold weather. We've got some temp duct work and some large units that we're putting on the south side of the building, and then we're utilizing radiant panels on the north side for the academic wing to keep that warm during the winter.
So Steve, that means that the building's heating system will be used in the academic wing this winter, and the temporary heaters in the shop areas and those sorts of areas. Is that correct?
Yes. So the radiant panels just require a boiler to be fired up. So it's not the full heating system that once the building becomes complete and occupied, it's just a small portion of it, Jack. But it's enough to keep it at the temperature and humidity levels that we need, but not tax the system at all.
Okay, and where do we stand with the permanent power? I understand N-Grid has been out lately, right?
Yeah, N-Grid has been out, but we are still working on our portion of it within the building. We are targeting first or second week of November to be complete with that and tied in. So we're making good progress there. We're actually working some extended hours with the electrician because once we have the permanent power, it allows us to turn on a lot more of the permanent equipment and start testing and rotating and making sure everything's installed correctly and working properly. And then we can work on, permanent light fixtures and turning those on and permanent power on, starting from the 4th floor, working our way down.
So we're still on track for June 16th
Yes,
and August 25th,
correct.
which will be a very exciting day for the city of Attleboro and everyone associated with the schools.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, and everybody else, something that Dave Sawyer and I had talked about very briefly, I think through email, but I think it's something a lot of folks probably think is, we expect it to happen, but I want to start talking about it, but it's some type of open house, maybe just before school actually starts. I think it's a good way to showcase the school. It's a good way to let people see what it is that, they're spending $260 million plus $100 million on interest on. And it's just something that I think would be really nice for people to see. And I'm just curious what other people think about that, maybe doing it before school actually starts, maybe in the weekend before it, something along those lines. What other people think about that?
We had a discussion at this morning's meeting, Mayor, and what the group thought was appropriate was to have a ribbon cutting ceremony just before school opens, but that to let the school do a little bit of a shakedown cruise and have the open house maybe at the end of September or the beginning of October. That seemed to be the consensus of the group this morning, but that was just a very preliminary discussion. Dave Sawyer, I don't know if you want to add to that. Bill Rooney.
I'm curious about the reasoning behind doing it before school openings, as opposed to after, in September, October. I'm just,
So it comes down to timing. If the building is ready a couple of weeks before the start of school, then we'll be prepared and be happy to do the open house before the start. But I think the thinking was that we might be needing every last second to really be able to open the building, and didn't want to pen ourselves in where we were both trying to be educationally ready for the first day and put on a party worthy of the moment.
Okay, sounds good. Just curious. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed this morning's meeting. I normally attend those every week, but this morning I needed to get out really early. So thank you.
I'll add to that a little bit as well, just so everyone knows that there's a tremendous amount of work on the exterior of the building on the south side of the new building that needs to take place next summer. And the reason why it's next summer is because a portion of it has to take place where the existing building currently sits. So we need to demo a portion of the school starting in April in order to make room and get access to everything that we need to have complete in the summer of next year. So from a safety aspect, I think it's wise to wait as long as possible as well, because we're going to be using up every square inch of the south side of that building, creating the bus loop. There's a lot of underground structures that go back there. And as Dave pointed out, we're going to need every last minute, every last day to get that complete and make sure it's correct and right and safe and ready for the opening of school. So I defer to, the later, as late as possible for the public.
That's good. There's a good reason for everything. So thank you for sharing that with me and everyone else.
And there's a
Mayor,
great,
if you analogize to the restaurant world, they generally have a soft opening for a couple of weeks before they have their grand opening party. So I'm thinking that what I'm hearing is a soft opening may well be in our interest.
I also think that, it'll look, obviously it looks like a school, but I think once the community is able to tour the building and, see the teachers have set up their classrooms with posters and those types of things, I think it'll even have more of that educational feel.
So I think the bottom line is it's fluid right now. It will be as soon as we safely can do it. But I'm guessing that it'll be sometime between September 15th and October 15th, somewhere in that time frame.
Very good. Thank you.
Steve, anything else that you want to share with us on the progress?
No, unless there's questions.
Any questions from the committee members?
I have a couple of questions. Is the city going to have any exposure for cost of this tile problem that they're having?
It's a hard thing to answer, Jerry, until we figure out exactly what the root cause is. So as of right now, we are tracking it as a contingency item. So it'll stay within the GMP. It's part of the reason why we have contingency, because things happen that we didn't anticipate, right? And it's hard right now to place, I'll be quite honest, to place blame on any one entity. We don't know. If we find someone at fault, obviously they'll bear the costs. But right now, it is not clear who or if anyone is at fault.
Okay.
So Steve, it could be a design issue, it could be an installation issue, or it could be a material issue, right?
Right, or it could be a perfect storm of all three, Jack. We're really scratching our heads on this one because we have tried to look at everything and nothing's popping up yet.
So hopefully by next month, you'll have some answers for us.
Yes.
I know that at this morning's meeting, Craig Olson said that they thought with all the time they spent there this week that they'd find the smoking gun, but they have not. And I guess that's good news and bad news, right?
Right. And believe me, there's a lot of experience in that room and a lot of people seeing things for the first time. They've been in the industry for years and haven't seen anything like this. I don't know if that's comforting or helpful, but it's just part of the equation.
Right. Any other questions, Jerry?
The other question I had was, what is going on the floor covering on that slab that's having the crackage problem?
It's one slab on grade in section E. So the main cafeteria, the last pour that we completed, and we're digging into it, but it cracked right at the cold joint. So right at the joint from the previous pour. It is not entirely unusual for a slab to curl. It's the first time it's happened. It's the only slab that we've had an issue with on the entire project. So the structural engineer is going to weigh in on it, but we've seen it before. We don't think it's some sort of settlement in the soil or major catastrophe. It could have just been the way it cured a little bit. And if we have to saw cut a section out and re-pour it, we will.
What is going over that though?
Oh, what goes over it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's the luxury vinyl tile, if I remember correct.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from committee members? Okay, then you want to talk about the contingencies, change orders, change order log, all the usual good stuff, Steve.
Everybody's favorite part of the meeting? Sure. We'll start with change order number 13, if that's okay. There are several GCRs. I will go through them all. and then ask for an approval at the end. So GCR 067 is the shooter detection system. So again, this is just the infrastructure conduit wire for the shooter detection system. The actual system is by others. It's by the city. So this is just the infrastructure. $80,894.56. GCR 092, low wall supports and mesh partitions. So again, this was just a couple of walls that needed in the servery in the first floor C that needed additional support. And this was a trade bid, so it wasn't 100% clear in the drawings. So there's some additional steel needed there for $13,554.15. GCR 094, disconnect switch at dedicated outdoor air unit number 4 up on the roof. So this became a code issue based on where the disconnect switch was located on the unit and the distance to the screen walls. So we had to relocate that for $3,738.19. GCR 103, bank revisions. So this was some additional blocking and some reveals added within the real estate bank going to be in the marketplace area there. $3,065.79. GCR 105, power at sinks in area D and J. This was just a couple of sinks where the power was not shown on the drawings. So that's $950.45. GCR 106, software revisions at graphics and 4th floor bathrooms. This is a result of some MEP coordination efforts just to be able to fit everything in the space and conceal some of the fire protection. There's a soffit added, and the height of a second soffit was revised. That was $7,365.27. GCR 107, dishwasher connections. Again, there was a couple of them not shown on the plumbing drawings. That is $4,039.69. GCR 110, added bollards at transformers. So this was per our friends at National Grid. We need to add some bollards at the exterior around the transformer in order for them to complete their work. So that is $7,294.92. GCR 112, 3rd floor media center opening revisions. So this is coordination with some glass openings that look out from the 3rd floor down into the cafeteria. And we revised the height so that we wouldn't see above the ceiling in the cafeteria area. That was $9,833.68. GCR 117, plantings at 100 Rome Boulevard. So we added some plants where the new walkway was on the property of 100 Rome Boulevard. That was $3,326.98. And then lastly, GCR 119, auditorium paint extents. Again, this is a trade bid, and there was some clarification made to the line of demarcation for where painting begins above the ceiling, and that was $3,928.12 for a total of $137,991.80. All of these GCRs were vetted out, reviewed by Consigli, KBA, and Skanska, and any consultants that needed to weigh in on it.
Let me just mention that at 100 Rome Boulevard, the installation of the sidewalk there created a sort of a trough that was a problem for the homeowner. And we spent quite a bit of time looking at this with them. I think actually the mayor and I ended up out there on their front lawn one day, and we came up with a plan in consultation with them where putting some plantings in and I think wood chipping around it is something that made them happy and eliminated the trough. And we thought that this was entirely appropriate to be a good neighbor and not create a problem in their front yard. So that was the explanation for that. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else here that hasn't been fully discussed with this committee before. So do we need a motion to approve change order 13 consisting of all of those items Steve's just discussed? Is that correct, Jeremy?
Correct.
Jackie?
Move to approve.
Terry?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, then Jeremy?
All right, on GMP change order 13, Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Rob. I think Rob had to leave. Andrew. Andrew,
Yes. Yes.
Jack,
Yes?
and Mayor Hu.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes. Steve, are there any new changes you want to bring to our attention?
Yes, we have a handful of new ones for this month. GCR 113, power at radon fans. So these are the fans for the radon system that's below the slab. And the power was not shown on the electrical drawings. So that is being priced up. That is right now approximately $16,232. GCR 114, dental assisting revisions. So the school requested some additional chairs and some revisions to the layout within the dental assisting area there. And we had to rework some of the some other items. So that is approximately $131,077. GCR 115 TV studio fit out. So we carried an allowance for this work, but we think it's going to go over that allowance based on the final design. That is $216,434. GCR 116 professional development AV revisions. So this is some additional equipment that will allow them to connect to the TV studio. That is approximately $134,174. And then GCR 120 technology and security revisions at central offices. So this is some additional cameras and card readers for security. That is approximately $18,938. Again, these are not ready for approval yet. They're currently under review with and being priced by the subcontractors.
Okay. Then one of the things we discussed while you were unavailable was the fact that it's been recommended to us that we have the money to go forward with the maintenance facility. Where is that one on our list here? Or is that?
So that shifted to a contingency item, Jack. And
Okay.
Contingency items right now. That was on the list, but yes.
Okay, so before we go to contingency, we'll just ask the committee members, any questions on the items that Steve just went over? Hearing none. So we go to the other log, Steve?
Yes. So we do have one contingency transfer we'd like approval of, and then I'd like to go over two new items. So the one we're seeking approval is GCT 038, roof sequencing at walls. This was an issue with the walls that are up above the cafeteria. We had to temporarily run the roofing and make it weather tight, and then go back and install the walls and peel the roofing back and kind of reflash. So that's a sequencing item based on the weather. That was $5,230.86. So we're seeking approval for just that one.
Okay, do we have any questions from the committee on that? Hearing none, Jeremy? Oh, well, first Jackie has to make a motion. Sorry.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, on the contingency transfers, Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, any new items that you want to bring to our attention on this log?
Yep. So two. One is the big one that you just referenced, Jack. GCT 039 is the maintenance addition. And again, based on project savings, this becomes a contingency transfer, so it stays within the GMP and does not add costs to the project. And we are almost fully vetted with this, but this price is coming in around $843,539, and this includes some of the early prep work we did with fire protection and electrical and a couple other line items that we had as a separate CR, but that is worked and baked into this number as well. So it's kind of an all-in number. So it came in a little lower than we had anticipated, which is good news. And hopefully for this meeting next month, we'll have the formal approval and vote and know the actual down to the penny amount for that. And then GTP 040 spray fireproofing at Penthouse stairs. This was a scope item that was not purchased with the spray fireproofing subcontractor, and then it became a requirement. So it's two sections of steel and decking up high at the Penthouse stairs. In building B, there's two sets of stairs. So that's approximately $10,000 for that work. So again, we're going to be completing that in the next week or so, next couple of weeks. So at this meeting next month, we should be in position to vote on that one as well.
And so good news is that the maintenance facility is about 150 grand less than the worst case scenario we were talking about a month ago. So that's very good news.
Yes.
And I just want to congratulate you and your team and Skanska and KBA on working to make this as cheap as possible. So thank you.
Is there going to be any additional costs on top of that with KBA or Skanska for that maintenance garage?
We've already sent a proposal in for that work, Jerry, that's already been provided as an extra cost for design services, excuse me.
Yeah. KBA had to design this
previously
building,
approved.
which was not part of the original scope of work. There is no cost increase from Skanska on this.
Okay.
And I would say that even though we have a design change, it is actually fit within the additional services line items that we have in our contract already. So it isn't actually an added cost to the project. It's just utilizing funds that were set aside in allowances that we could use for such things.
For reimbursable expenses.
Right.
So it doesn't increase the total of your contract, correct?
No, it just utilizes money that was set aside for allowances for that. Yep.
Thank you. Mayor, did you have something?
No, I'm just adjusting my camera. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Thought you were waving your hand. Okay, so Steve, the allowance logs, do you have anything you want to talk about on that? I know that Mary Ann and Jeanette did touch on that briefly, but anything you want to add?
Just that, again, it continues to trend in the correct direction with savings. And as new subcontractors come on board and we have allowances set aside for them, once we realize final cost, or if we even need it, we do make the adjustments, and hopefully there's an opportunity to shift even more money to savings as we get going here in the next few months.
Okay. Before we talk about next meetings, I know everybody's anxious to get back in the building again. Have you given any thought, Steve, to when we might be looking at another tour? Or do you want to think about that and talk about it at the next meeting?
Yeah, actually, I thought we were thinking maybe somewhere close to Christmas.
Well, last month you said Thanksgiving, so let's not go to Valentine's Day.
Yeah, next month I'll go to Valentine's Day, and then I'll take it to July 4th. Honestly, the longer you wait, the more finished it looks, Jack. But we have no issue doing it in, late November, middle December. It all depends on what people want to see and how much how much finished work they want to see or how much behind the curtain they want to see.
Well, I like to see both things because there's an awful lot of money that's behind the curtain. What's above the ceiling is millions of dollars, correct?
Yes, it is.
So why don't you think about something around Thanksgiving-ish, and why don't we see if we can, at our next meeting, firm up a date for that?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, then I know we're meeting on November 17th, and also the December meeting will be the 15th of December. So mark your calendars, everyone. And I think other than that, does anybody have anything else they wish to bring up?
Jack, I just want to apologize again for being late and having my technical issues.
Well, Steve, it all worked out because we did the things we usually do after you, before you, so not a problem. And obviously, your drone pictures are the highlight of every one of these meetings.
Right, I do. If I didn't have those, I wasn't even going to log on.
So, okay, so anybody have anything else that they want to bring up? And then I guess a motion is in order to
Move to
adjourn
adjourn.
at 6:31. Jeremy, call the roll.
Dave,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Rob. Oh, he left. Andrew,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes,
and Mayor.
we are
Yes.
adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
Hi, guys. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Hey, Jack, thanks so much for chairing again.
You're welcome. And we just missed our hour by a minute, so I'll have to be more efficient next time.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Always, yes, as always.